Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Pros, save more on the materials you need to get the job done inside and out at Lowe's. Right now, get 10% off in-stock Trex Naturals decking, now available in more styles. Plus, get 15% off select custom entry, interior, and storm doors. Then, we'll deliver it all straight to your job site to help keep your jobs moving. Get the brands pros trust, priced right, and ready when you need them. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/27. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 68. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be speaking with Nicole Hiser. Nicole is a mindset and accountability coach, speaker, author, and multi-business entrepreneur who uses her story and the lessons she's learned along the way to support other women entrepreneurs grow, heal, and succeed. In the show notes, we've attached a code for a single coaching call with Nicole. The code is Coach10 and it gives you 10% off a single session. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to You the Boss podcast. How are you?
We're fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So here on You the Boss, we like to dive right in. So give us your name, a little bit of your background, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
All right. Well, hi everyone. I am Nicole. I am a mindset and accountability coach, speaker, and author. Um, I mainly work with women who are overwhelmed with chaotic lives, especially
Mm-hmm.
those of us with entrepreneurial lives, because it can be pure chaos sometimes. Now, I'm very good at seeing other people's chaos and simplifying things and making everything easier and helping them progress faster by slowing down.
Hmm. So first, I want to say I mostly also work with women. It's just happened to be that way here on the podcast. If you're viewing this on YouTube right now, there is a special guest with Nicole. What is this little baby's name?
This is my cat Aowen. I am a Lord of the Rings crazy person. So
Mm,
I got two cats. They're both sisters. One's Aowen and one's Pippin.
love that. We love a special guest appearance. So, give me a little bit more information about your you said you're an accountability coach. So give me more information on that. How did you start doing that? What kind of brought you there?
Well, this business has really evolved over the years. I've had this business for 2 or 3 years now. At first, it was just a place for my nonfiction books because I needed to keep that separate from my fiction.
Mhm.
And then I decided I wanted to be a speaker so I can help other women who have struggled with trauma and experiences like I have by telling my story and teaching them the lessons I've learned along the way to help them get out of all of it a lot faster.
Mhm.
And it just turned into coaching. And so now I get to work with women and help them heal and grow and succeed and be more productive. I teach them ways to help focus, especially those of us with spicy brains that likes to swirl a lot.
Mhm.
So I really just help simplify everything and make things a lot easier. and help women heal at the same time, because I think that you can be as productive as you want, but if you're not working on yourself on the inside, that's always going to hold you back a little bit.
Right. I was previously having a conversation with someone else that, I've just finished interviewing for the podcast, and we did talk a little bit about just the different ways that us as women, um we internalize this like taking care of everyone elseness, and we confuse that productivity to be positive. Um so I think it is important for us to take the steps like you mentioned with our traumas and those different things so that we can, just have more success in our lives. And I don't mean success in a monetary form, but I just mean like a lived life, you know?
Absolutely.
So
I completely agree.
so I know that you mentioned a few things. So I do want you to give us a little information about you being an author. I do want to link some of that information in the show notes, just because I think it's important for all rounded support. So have you like self published? Do you have just one book, multiple books? What's your book? What genre is your book? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So in my simplified momentum coaching business, I
Mm-hmm.
do nonfiction and I am a self-published indie author. Um, I have two books out right now. I'm currently working on another, and
Wow.
they're really about my story of my first book, This Generational Curse Ends With Me. It was completely my story. I wrote it as a way to help myself heal,
Mm-hmm.
and then I published it so that women out there will know that they're not alone, and I do understand, I do see them, and we don't have to let our past dictate our futures. And then my second book, Lessons by Trauma Taught Me, it's all kinds of different lessons I've learned along the years and what I've learned from them, and my little nudge to women to help you learn lessons that I learned the hard way to save you hardship and years of
Mm-hmm.
tears and turmoil. And I'm currently writing my third book, and this one is going to be all about lessons I've learned from my exes. Because, like a lot of us, I've had some really messed up relationships, and
Some
I've
really
learned.
interesting ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's actually been pretty fun to write, because it just a few years back, I really took an audit of my past relationships and realized I was dating the same person over and over and over, because I'm very stubborn and I try to put everything into it, because if I don't, I'm giving up. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying defeat, when really sometimes you just gotta change to
Right.
have different results. So it this one's been fun to write, because it's all lessons I've learned from all of the relationships I've had in my life. And it's been a crazy journey.
So, first of all, I want to say congratulations to you for not just publishing one book, not just two books, but now you're on your way to your third. I think that is incredible. I make the joke with my brother. I'm like, I'm gonna write a book someday. He's like, oh yeah, me too. And I don't know if he's kidding, but I'm definitely not kidding. So, but I know that so much must, what I'm sure I'm unaware of, I know so much must go into that. So congratulations to you. I know that that is no easy feat. And also congratulations to you for putting yourself out there. When I'm a believer that when we make the decision to take responsibility for our healing, even though we're not responsible for what is causing us to need to heal, I think that is like such a slap to that trauma. It's such a slap to that like need to heal because we take away its power when we make the choice to heal from whatever we've experienced. And I do want to say you were mentioning that you wrote a book basically like of the lessons you've learned where you're like basically like I did it so that you wouldn't have to kind of thing. I think that's no easy feat to be able to just make that choice and put yourself out there to be like a guidance to other people. So thank you. Um, so what
Thank
do
you.
you
I really appreciate that.
I know that you mentioned that you're currently working on the third book, right? And what are you currently working on in your business? Like, are you looking to connect with more women? You're looking to be of help to more women, or both? Or maybe something completely separate? Like, what are you currently working on?
Right now, I am currently looking for clients. I just re my package, my coaching package to
Mhm.
include extra things because I recently finally nailed down what my niche is because I work with a lot of different things and there are so many sub niches of coaching.
Mhm.
So it took me a while to figure out what it was. And so I really wanted to include things in my package that worked with everything I worked with. So I added in some accountability check ins throughout the package because
Mhm.
I don't see that anywhere else in other
Mhm.
coaching packages. And I think that could be a huge thing, especially for women out there who struggle with focusing issues and like ADD. I have
Mhm.
a lot of friends who do, and I used to do a lot of live work sessions with friends, and it's sort of like body doubling, but live. And we accomplished so much work just being able to chat in between working sessions and everything, and just to keep each other accountable. So I started adding that to my package. So right now I'm looking for clients and looking to expand my community. I really want to build a community of like minded women who truly get it because sometimes being a small business owner, we don't have much of a social life.
Mhm.
So to meet other goal oriented, like minded women who get it, who understand that you can connect with and build relationships with, that's a huge goal of mine right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. When you're a business owner, especially in this day and age, right? Because there's so much online. There's so much both in person and virtually that it can be very easy to be scattered. And you did mention that there's so many focus issues, and I'm sure this is a topic within itself. Um, but it's just so important for you to put yourself out there and just say, "Hey, I'm doing this and I want to be able to connect with more people and build that community." I know that a lot of the people that listen to my podcast, they turn to me a lot and they talk about community, and the accountability portion is actually what sticks out a lot is that they can find someone online, they can see the person doing the thing and offering their coaching skills, but I have seen the lack of accountability check-ins. So I think that that's great that you're doing that within your business and your package. I
Yeah, I'm
want
really excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I love the development of ideas, and more so when they get put into fruition, because in allowing us all to in some format connect, we can also, feed off of each other and that kind of thing. I will send this to you and I will put this in the show notes as well. But I connected with someone recently who I believe they're in California, but basically what she does in her brand is she hosts like virtual co-working sessions on Thursdays. And I think it's like an hour or two long, and people can just pop in and have like a quick conversation or interconnect that way. And I think that those communities are so important because you're right, we absolutely need each other in community. There's been such a separation throughout, all parts of the world, whether that's politics or just socially or anything like that. And it's important to have that community, to have that connection with like-minded individuals. I think that's very important. So,
Absolutely.
what would you say? So, you're a writer, you're a business owner, you have mentioned you're a mom. What would you say was a pivotal time? Like, maybe it wasn't just one situation, maybe it was a couple of things that happened, but what would you say was a moment that made it like a turning point for you that kind of led you in the direction of where you are right now? You're looking to be you're being an accountability coach, you're a writer, you're putting yourself out there. Like what was the story there as far as like that pivotal moment or that like aha, let me do this kind of thing?
Well, I've always been a massive dreamer. I've always wanted more,
Love
and
that. We love a dreamer.
you know, ever since I was 6, I've wanted to write books, and that evolved after I turned a teenager into wanting to be an author. And then I wanted to be the person for other women that I didn't have when I needed them. I didn't have someone come in and say, "I see you, I hear you, you're okay, no one's gonna hurt you anymore, you're safe." And I can't rescue other women, but I can show them how to rescue themselves like I did for me.
Mm.
And so I've been dreaming of all these big dreams for years, and I had my 30th birthday, which is like a quarter life crisis, but
Sort
I
of,
wanted
yeah.
to accomplish, yeah. I wanted to accomplish so many things by the time I was 30. I wanted to have a family and be married and have my own house and be a published author and all of these things. And I was a mom by the time I was 30, but that was it. I was in a really messed up relationship. I hadn't written in like 10 years
Wow.
because I became an adult and I just was adulting and
Mm.
taking care of
Mhm.
life. And then I had my daughter, and she was diagnosed with special needs, and that sort of took over our entire life. So when I turned 30 and I realized I hadn't really accomplished anything I wanted to do, I wasn't going to spend another 30 years settling and just working day by day just to make it. So in the last 6 years, I have published, I think, 7 books, 12 short stories, a flash fiction piece. I've created 3 businesses.
Wow.
I've written 3 other books. Uh, I have a children's book platform where I write the books and my daughter illustrates them so that I can show her how to
Wow.
start her own business because it's important for us to be role models for our kids, but also we're already small business owners. We can show them the first steps. And
Mm.
where she has special needs, I really wanted to instill that in her that she's already done everything the doctor said she couldn't. So let's do some
Wow.
extra stuff just to prove that you can. And so at 11, she became a professional freelance illustrator because we published our first book together. So, yeah, it was a 30th birthday kind of meltdown situation where I was just like, I'm not gonna spend another 30 years like this. I'm changing the course now.
Wow. So I have chills, first of all, because there is, I want to say it's a theme, or I'm not sure what the label would be, but I do talk about this very much on the podcast. So the name of the podcast is You the Boss Podcast. And I started it initially for it to be like entrepreneur based, and it very quickly, after the first episode or two, became a mindset podcast and a podcast that is just exactly what you said about. It is about you realizing that you're the boss in whatever it is you want to be in. You want to go out and change your life tomorrow. You want to go back to school and get a master's and become a corporate entourage, or you want to start an enterprise, or you want to be an entrepreneur and be a corporate girl. Like the point is that you're the boss. This is up to you. And I think that you may, not you specifically, but we may initially call those things like the quarter life crisis or the 30-year crisis. But actually, that is a 30-year like wake up call. There is
Mhm.
a there is a quote, and I don't know who said the quote, so I'm sorry if I'm misquoting it. But basically, the quote is, so many people die at 25, but they're not buried until they're 70. And that is so relevant because
Wow.
you were like, "You know what? I spent the last 30 years of with these dreams and these goals and these ambitions, and I'm gonna spend the next 30 making them come to life." And I think it's if no one has told you, I think it's incredible that you've decided to not use your daughter's special needs as a disability, but you've used it as a capability. I think that is so important to note because, like anything in our life, we can very quickly use anything as a crutch, anything as an excuse or a reason. And you took that and you essentially took it into like the cauldron of what you're cooking for your life and you decided I'm the boss here. This is mine. So I think congratulations to you, Nicole. I think that is incredible. That is an incredible story. And I'm glad that you've chosen to do that because again, in this day and age, it's so easy to just wrap it up to going to do what everyone else is doing in the hamster race or the hamster wheel and just letting life take you by. So I think that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that with us. And because I have a child and nieces and nephews, I would love to, if once we're done with this episode, if you send me the information for your children's books and the short stories and all that, because not just for support, but I think that's so cool. I think that is so cool. Like you're like, "Yeah, my daughter illustrates, like, hair flip, no problem." I absolutely love that. I really do.
It's definitely a proud mama moment. I have a picture of her painting the very first page of our very first book together because it was such a monumental thing because like, she's actually doing it and her doing it is not just me being a proud mom and her showing that she's a, a little awesome superstar kid, but she's also
Mhm,
showing other kids that they can do it too. They can make their own merch shops. They can write their own
mhm.
books. They can use their art to make money. Whatever their dreams are, whatever they're passionate about, they can do it. And we just have to show them the way and
Yes.
support them in ways that we didn't receive that support.
Mhm. So, just winding down a little bit here, what advice would you give someone that's starting out in your field, both as an accountability coach, as an author? What would be some advice, let's say like 1 or 2 things that you would give for advice in getting started in the field of whether that's publishing or being an accountability coach? What would you say would be one of those 2 things of advice?
Well, I've recently realized that I made some huge mistakes in my businesses that really slowed down the progress.
Mhm.
One of them is I did not start small. So you should start small. And I didn't know that because I wasn't fully immersed in the business world when I started. None of us are. Start with one product or service and make it so that you start making regular money on it every month and it's predictable before you ever add a second product or service. That's a quick way to grow your business and make sure that you're bringing in money from the start. And then two, stay consistent. I have learned over the years that that is the number one thing that will help you be seen by buyers, by clients, by anyone that you want your business seen by is to be consistent. If you can only post once a week, just make sure you post that once a week. If you can only post once a day, just do the once a day and batch it. Take 2 or 3 days during the week to split it up and then just batch your content and schedule it for next week so you don't have to think about it next week. But just stay consistent no matter how small that is, as long as you can easily stay consistent with it, I promise you, you will make so much more progress because of that.
I love that. I have a podcast that I listen to that I really like, and the host always says, um, "A little bit becomes a lot." So you said start small, and a little bit becomes a lot is what stuck out for me. And you also mentioned the consistency. I think that that is so important because everyone thinks that things are just an overnight success. And I think people have gotten very used to that because of the viral mentality online. And not everything goes viral, um, but everything adds to that consistency. So I think that is just incredible that you shared that here with us today. And what would you say, looking back, because I know you said that you gave us essentially a little bit of advice based on your experience. Looking back, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently in your career outside of, like you said, starting smaller, and maybe like the consistency? Is there anything else that you think that you would have done differently in your time up until this point?
I would have believed in myself a hell of a lot faster.
Mm.
It took me so long because I had all of those other voices in my head repeating all of that stuff that I've heard my entire life. I told someone right after I had my daughter that because they seen that I was writing, and I told them that I've always wanted to write books. I wanted to be a writer since I was 6 years old, and they said, "You need to stop doing that and work on your priorities. That's just a silly little dream." And I will never forget that. And I let that
Wow.
stop me for so long. But now I look back at everything that I've achieved and everything I've accomplished, everything I've survived. Anyone out there that's listening or watching us right now, you've already survived so much. You've
Mhm.
made it through everything that has been thrown at you. So start believing in yourself. I promise you, if you believe in yourself now and love yourself now more than you should have loved yourself then, it'll make the biggest change in your life, bigger than you'll ever expect.
Wow. I I think that's such a testament, you know, that so often, especially people we love, especially people that mean well, they say things like, you need to get your priorities straight. You need to basically they tell you to stop dreaming. They tell you to grow up.
Mhm.
And I did an episode on this, I think it was last week or the week before, where I mentioned like why do we tell children the entire, let's say, 10 or 15 years of their life. You can do anything you put your mind to. You can do it. You can do anything. You can do whatever you want to do. And then at some point between 15 and 25, we're like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And the fact that someone said it to you and you didn't stop dreaming that's grounds for awards to me. You didn't let anyone take it from you. Like maybe you had a little bit of a detour. We've all been there. But you came back to
Yeah.
yourself. You came back to yourself and you were like, nope, I'm gonna do this. And you have.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I think that's so great. I love that you shared that because everyone has that. Everyone has someone that's told them to like grow up and hopefully if you've ever been told that and you're listening to this or watching this, like Nicole said, you take into account that you don't need to listen to those people. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
so many examples right here that allow for that. So let us know where we can find you. I'm going to include all this information in the show notes. Give us your Instagram, YouTube, or wherever you are. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Simplified Momentum Coaching. Um, I have a podcast on Spotify, Apple. It's on YouTube now too, called the SMC podcast or the Simplified Momentum Coaching podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can check out my books and services at simplifiedmomentumcoaching.shop. Um, yeah, you can find me anywhere. Pretty much at Simplified Momentum
I love
Coaching.
that.
And right now, if you go to my shop and you use Coach 10, you can get 10% off of your the first coaching session. And I'll give you the link for the show notes
Mhm.
for a free 10-minute guide. So if any of y'all are feeling stuck right now and you are trying to get through the wall and it's been fighting you forever, this is a free, really quick 10-minute guide called Stuck to Shifted, and it'll be linked in the show notes too.
Well, I absolutely love this, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming on to You the Boss today. And I will definitely include the code and the link in the show notes. And I will also promote it on the social media platforms. Thank you so much for coming on today. And I can't wait for us to connect soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this.
Me too.